Welcome families. This is our second webinar in a series developed to support parents and guardians of learners with special needs, including those with significant cognitive disabilities. Again, we want to remind you that we're here and that we care. The thoughts and resources shared in our webinars are meant to supplement the information provided by your child's teachers. We know you're busy, so we'll get started sharing some ideas and resources to support your learners with special needs at home. Before we begin, we'd like to introduce ourselves. My name is Deirdre Ducharme, and presenting with me is my colleague, Janet Stuck. We work for the Performance Office at the Connecticut State Department of Education and often work closely on projects related to supporting students with disabilities and English learners. Our goal is to empower you. We want our families to be safe, engaged, and experience a balance between work and leisure. The weather is finally warm enough to soak up some sunshine and fresh air, so make sure to enjoy outdoor activities with your family. In the meantime, our goals in this presentation support keeping families safe, keeping children engaged, maintaining a balance that works for your family, and establishing a routine between work, school, and play. As described in our previous webinar, the Connecticut State Department of Education has a page dedicated to parents and families with a variety of resources and recorded webinars to support families while schools are closed. This page is continuously being updated, so be sure to visit often. We recognize that there are many valuable resources available online for our educators and local administrators. However, this session is for you as we share some ideas to improve the daily routines with your child and foster independent learning. We'll share ideas to personalize tools that are fun to use and may motivate learners as you manage various activities throughout your day. You and members of your family have established routines to help manage tasks and needs. We suggest enhancing these routines by creating a schedule that engages your child. At home, your established routines and schedules may or may not be written down. As you know, there are many types of schedules. The benefits of creating a schedule provides your child with greater understanding of what will happen on a given day, provide feelings of control and accomplishment, which may minimize less appropriate behaviors. Perhaps you are aware of the schedule used by your child in school. However, if not, you may want to connect with your child's teacher for their suggestions. When introducing something new in your home, such as the idea of a new schedule, you may want to start small and begin with something already familiar to your child. For example, a 3-item schedule that represents morning activities can include things that your child does every day, such as eating breakfast, getting dressed, and another activity. We suggest planning ahead to establish a schedule based on your child's routine, or to establish a routine for schoolwork at home. To plan ahead for activities, you may want to think about which place or places in your home are available and most appropriate for learning. Does your child benefit from selecting one space to conduct work, or can your student use multiple spaces? Are these spaces shared with others? Some families create a mobile carrier using a bag or a cardboard box filled with supplies such as notebooks, pens, pencils, and Post-it notes, so that the child can easily transport learning supplies from one space to another, depending on where the child will be working. Many of us use our kitchen table as a workspace. When using this area for the purpose of distance learning, remove all potential distractions from the table to improve attention to the learning activity. Consider distracting sounds, including others talking, radios, and televisions. When finding a routine strategies that works best for you and your learner, also consider how your learner's day is structured. There may be some benefits to flexibility regarding when students complete assignments during the day. Consider a work routine that maximizes their energy level. Some older children and adolescents might benefit from a later start time than younger learners who are early risers. These decisions should be made in conjunction with your school and how they're providing instruction and how lessons and assignments are delivered. Are video games or technology a big distraction? Parents can consider blocking them or putting them in timeout during instructional time. Another way to eliminate online temptations is, after downloading an assignment, turn off the Wi-Fi and/or cellular service to help your child focus on the learning activity. Remember, everyone benefits from at least 30 minutes a day of fresh air, sunshine, and exercise. Outdoor activities help children refocus and recharge. Consider posting a calendar and mark it with due dates for school tasks. Help your child plan backwards from the due dates. Use visual organizers to break an assignment down into steps and the specific strategies needed to complete each task. Compare how much time is available and how long your child can work in one sitting. This process helps you figure out how to help your child chunk the work into small steps throughout the day or over the course of several days. Consider the supplies needed for the activities. Help gather the materials in advance so that your learner has everything needed. How much time is needed to complete the activity? When is it due? Is an adult needed to support the activity? What is the cognitive load? What supplies are needed to complete the assignment? Write down tasks on schedule or note cards and prioritize them. Check in regularly with your learner to ensure that they are on task. While in school, students move throughout their day in a structured manner from activity to activity. Your child may still be adjusting to the change in structure at home that is very different from their experiences at school. One way to support your child is to create structure related to these new experiences. Like you, knowing what to expect is important to your child and may reduce anxiety. Using schedules and routines helps your child anticipate tasks, thinks about the activities, and understand expectations. Over time, these established routines may increase independence. As you create a schedule, use familiar language to your child and use the same words or communication methods each time to help your child make connections with the activity. Include opportunities for choice within the child's day to promote feelings of control and responsibility. The great advantage for parents and guardians is that they have control when selecting the options for learners to choose from. For example, when you want your child to get dressed, you can say, do you want to wear a long sleeve shirt or a short sleeve shirt? Or do you want to wear this shirt and hold it out, or this shirt, hold it out? Each of these options moves the child closer to getting dressed. If the order of an activity does not matter, you can also provide choice for the sequence of activities. For example, do you want to eat breakfast or get dressed first? Throughout your child's day, recognize their efforts to communicate, accomplish tasks, and behave appropriately. Be specific about what you would like them to continue doing in a particular manner. For example, John, I really like to see you eating slowly with your fork. Or, Mary, thank you for waiting your turn to talk while I was on the phone. The specific information allows your child to know exactly what is good about their behavior, instead of providing more general praises like, good job.
As mentioned, there are a variety of schedule types. For learners with special needs and those with significant cognitive disabilities, the type of schedule that is most beneficial depends on the characteristics of the learner. If learners are using particular supports through augmentative or alternative communication systems such as a picture exchange system, Proloco2Go, GoTalk, Tobii Dynavox, or others, these may dictate the type of schedule used. Many learners benefit from using concrete objects with the progression to other types of schedules, using images and words. Some learners benefit from schedules provided in an auditory format. When creating concrete object or tactile schedules, select multi-sensory stimulating objects that represent the activity that your child can see and touch. For example, this schedule indicates breakfast, math, and art. For this learner, a special teddy bear and formula is used to represent a snack or tubie time because the child has a G-tube. Then, as represented by the calculator, the child will complete a math activity. The box of crayons indicate that the child will engage in an art activity. Depending on your child's understanding, you may need to use the actual objects used in the activity planned rather than a representation. Some children are still learning about symbols and therefore may not understand a crayon reference when in fact the art project involves paints. Here is an example of a schedule using BoardMaker pictures. This schedule represents 3 sequential activities: reading a book, playing a game, and baking. If you have access to a printer, using photographs of your child doing the activity may be very motivating. This child's schedule includes foreplay, a sensory activity using shaving cream, and riding his bike for outdoor physical activity. This child's schedule uses clip art to represent playing with a car, a snack, and washing dishes. This child's schedule uses words to describe the expected activities. As learners become more familiar with their schedules and the repeated words, they may be able to remember the word and what it represents. Ultimately, these schedules can include more activities or times of day. Schedules can be displayed horizontally or vertically, depending on the needs of the learner and the space in your home. Some children like to or need to hear instructions more than once. Parents can communicate the guidance needed into a device such as a phone or tape recorder, so the learner has an auditory access to their schedule. Depending on the learner, you may need to include detailed instructions to accompany each activity identified in the schedule. The incorporation of this type of schedule can promote learner independence and a sense of accomplishment. We need to help our children learn to be flexible and adapt to change. Now that we have discussed the benefits of creating structure using a schedule, we've provided images here that can be applied to a schedule when flexibility is required. In this case, per the schedule, the learner is going to make brownies. Prior to brownie time, or even at brownie time, the parent can place an alert or zinger on the scheduled item. You as the parent model what you would expect your child to be thinking by saying out loud something like this. Oh, what does this mean? Oh, I know. One of the ingredients in the brownie mix are eggs. We don't have any more eggs because we had them at breakfast. It's okay. My schedule says brownies, and I want to make brownies, but I need to be flexible. I can take a deep breath and be calm and flexible. Now I can make a good choice. Help your learner problem solve. Talk about making brownies with no eggs, which will not taste good. Suggest buying eggs later in the day so they can be made the next day. Then model again for your child. Now, because I'm flexible, I choose something else to do now, and I will make brownies tomorrow. Now that we've shared some concepts to help you create structure, we want to share some thoughts about creating activities. Learning while home has become about repurposing materials you already have or what you can easily find at the grocery store. For the subsequent activities, we have designed activities using a cupcake tin, cupcake liners, cut-up plastic drinking straws, and tongs. In addition to making drinking milk more fun, straws can be used whole or cut up. These straws are multicolored and are ideal for various sorting and counting activities. By preparing the cupcake liner in various formats, the learner can practice different skills. If you have tweezers, tongs, or even chopsticks held together at the top with a rubber band, your child can practice fine and gross motor skills to pick up objects. In this example, the child uses tongs to pick up 3 pieces of green straw and 2 pieces of red straw to place in the liner. This activity can be done independently and checked by the parent at a later time. In this example, the learner looks at the number indicated on the inside of the cupcake liner and picks up the corresponding number of straw pieces to place in the liner. Once your child becomes more successful, you can adapt the difficulty level by adding a color dot to represent a number of a particular color for the student to match with the corresponding colored pieces of straw. This activity can evolve into more advanced math activities by creating addition or subtraction problems in which your child places the correct answers in the liners. In this example, you can write out words that you'd like your learner to practice and learn. In this illustration, the learner uses alphabet serial to spell words written on the index card and then places the letters in the cupcake liner. Parents can recheck at a later time if the learner is successful working on this activity. The same cut-up pieces of straw can be used as beads to create a pattern on a string. I was surprised to find string at the grocery store with the kitchen utensils. You may need to wrap tape around one end of the string to create a needle. In this example, your child can work on visual perception, hand-eye coordination, and breath control by either moving the straw or blowing through the straw to move a ball of aluminum foil across the table. You can use paper cups to create a net or goal. This is an example of a bean bag made out of a cloth napkin placed in a Ziploc bag. If you're brave, you can create it with other materials such as rice, noodles, or cereal. The weight allows your child to move the bean bag independently while following verbal directions provided by a family member. This encourages listening, following directions, and understanding body awareness and the meaning of directional words such as front, back, left, right, on, and under. For example, hold the beanbag on your right, hold the beanbag in front, and hold the beanbag over your head. In this activity example, the learner uses a baster to move water from one cup to another within a certain time limit. The food coloring makes the activity more fun and easier to see the water. Once the time limit expires, the learner can measure the amount of water they were able to transfer. Over time, as your child manages the baster and the transfer process better, more water will end up in the measuring cup. We hope these topics have given you some ideas for activities to support your child with special needs or significant cognitive disabilities.
Recognizing that you are very busy and maybe exhausted, we want to remind you to try to find time for yourself to recharge and reflect. Ideally, you can build this into your schedule. In fact, as you create your daily, weekly schedule, explicitly set time for self-care. As you and your child customize a schedule for your learner, be sure to set aside some quiet time alone as well as together time for social and emotional care. Consider keeping a gratitude journal. This can be an activity for you, or it can be an activity to share with your family. For example, write down 2 things that you are thankful for and 1 that you think you might be able to do better in the future. Share this with your child or family and allow an opportunity for them to capture and discuss what they're thankful for. This activity promotes self-reflection and an opportunity for discussion. Encourage your learner to be specific and describe their experiences. Rather than simply saying, "I'm grateful for my brother," encourage something such as, "I'm thankful for my brother because he played soccer with me and it was a lot of fun." As a parent, you can validate your child's feelings and model flexibility so kids know that it's okay when things don't go their way. You can encourage them to let it go for today. Your sharing allows your child to see that you also may make mistakes and continue to strive for better days. What activities does your child enjoy? What does your child like to do to feel calm? Are there some activities that you can do together? Use these sleep guidelines to aim for the right amount of sleep based on age. For example, infants require at least 9 to 10 hours of sleep at night, plus 3 or more hours of naps. Toddlers benefit from between 9 and 10 hours of sleep at night, in addition to 2 or 3 hours of napping. School-aged children sleep between 9 and 11 hours, and adults benefit from between 7 to 8 hours. Establish nightly routines and working with the same times to help signal the body and provide time for your child to rest. The CSD will offer additional webinars and resources for parents of learners with disabilities, including those with significant cognitive disabilities. Please let us know if you have suggestions for other topics that would support you and your learner during this time of focused learning at home. Please email us your comments and feedback. You've got this. We're here to help. Stay healthy and be safe.